Let me tell you something about a woman who's lived enough life to recognize patterns, discern motives, and spot foolishness from a mile away. A woman over 40 is not the same woman she used to be at 20. No, she's not chasing approval. She's not begging for validation. And she's not entertaining dysfunction just to keep the peace. She's evolved. She's walked through the fire. And she came out not smelling like smoke, care enough, but wearing the fragrance of wisdom. She's done letting people drain her energy, interrupt her peace, and plant seeds of confusion in the garden of her purpose. She's no longer available for the chaos. She's chosen clarity. She's built something sacred with God. Care enough, and she won't let people tear it down just because they're bored, bitter, or broken. She doesn't tolerate the guilt trippers who manipulate her with the past but contribute nothing to her future. Enough. She doesn't tolerate the critics and cheap seats who've never built anything but always have something to say. And she certainly doesn't tolerate anyone who expects her to shrink just to make them feel comfortable. She's been through betrayal and kept standing. She's loved people who didn't love her back and still kept her heart open. She's raised children, buried dreams, resurrected new ones, care enough, and found the strength to reinvent herself at every stage of life. She knows that release is sometimes the greatest act of love. Love for herself, her sanity, her care, alling. And let me tell you what's most powerful about this woman. She's rooted in truth. She no longer performs. She no longer pretends. She no longer negotiates her worth in rooms that don't recognize her value. There's something powerful that happens when a woman grows beyond the age where she seeks external validation. When the applause fades, the trends change, and the relationships evolve or dissolve, a new woman begins to rise. She doesn't rise from the places of shallow acceptance or temporary admiration. No, she rises from wisdom. She rises from experience. And above all, she rises from discernment. Discernment is not suspicion. It's not paranoia. It's not insecurity dressed in hesitation. Discernment is spiritual maturity in motion. It's the ability to see what's behind the curtain, to feel the undercurrents of what's spoken, and more importantly, what's unspoken. Care enough. It's the intuition that's been sharpened through pain, betrayal, disappointment, and countless lessons learned the hard way. A woman over 40 doesn't just hear words anymore. She listens with her spirit. She doesn't just see behavior. She recognizes patterns. She doesn't just fall for charm, waits to see consistency, because experience has taught her that not everything good to you is good for you. She knows the difference between a friend and a leech, a partner and a parasite, a compliment and a con. You see, maturity brings discernment enough, and discernment guards her destiny. When she was younger, maybe she tolerated more than she should have. She excused red flags, explained away disrespect, and ignored the soft warnings in her soul just to avoid confrontation or loneliness. But now she listens when her spirit says no. Now she trusts that uneasiness is revelation. Now she believes what God shows her the first time. She's no longer in a season where she's desperate for everyone to like her. She doesn't need to fit into every room, every circle, or every conversation. Discernment has taught her that not every opportunity is a blessing. Some are distractions dressed in glitter. Not every open door is from God. Some are traps designed to steal her peace, delay her grace, or devour her confidence. Maturity brings a filter to her life, and she applies it to everything: her relationships, her work, her time, and her energy. She no longer says yes out of guilt. She no longer shows up just to prove her loyalty. She no longer pours into people who treat her presence as common and her wisdom as disposable. She's not bitter. She's just aware. She's not closed off. She's selective. Her conversations have shifted too. She's no longer drawn to gossip chows or small-minded thinking. She desires depth alignment. She values people who can sit in silence and still speak volumes. She doesn't tolerate surface-level connections anymore. If it doesn't feed her soul, challenge her thinking, or honor her presence, she quietly removes herself. No explanation needed. And oh, how powerful she's become in silence. She doesn't argue to be understood anymore. She doesn't fight to be heard by those who never intended to listen. Maturity has given her the grace to walk away without making a scene. She's learned that peace is louder than any argument. Silence has become her sword. Distance has become her shield. Discernment is also what keeps from rushing. She no longer makes impulsive decisions based on emotion or pressure. She knows how to wait patiently, prayerfully, intently. She's not looking for temporary satisfaction. She's aligned with divine timing. She understands that what's meant for her won't require her to compromise her worth or sacrifice her peace. People used to confuse her kindness for weakness. They mistook her empathy for naivety, but they didn't realize she was storing every moment, every lesson, every tear, and transforming it into discernment. What she once tolerated, she now rejects. What she once endured, she now walks away from. Try to love enough and care enough, not because she's arrogant, because she knows what she carries is sacred. She's learned that not everyone deserves access. And access is not just about presence. It's about influence, who you let speak into your life, shape your thoughts, or sit in your inner circle. That matters. She guards her circle now. Her boundaries of fear, walls of fear, but gates of wisdom. They're not designed to keep people out, but to let the right ones in. Discernment enough has also changed how she sees herself. She's no longer trying to become someone else's idea of success, beauty, or value. She knows her identity. She walks in confidence, not the loud, performative kind, but the rooted, unshakable kind. And care enough, the kind that doesn't flinch when she's misunderstood or misjudged. The kind that smiles, nods, and keeps building. She's no longer a victim of manipulation. Emotional games don't work on her anymore. Empty apologies, recycled lies, care enough, inconsistent effort. They don't faze her, doesn't clap back. She lets God vindicate. She doesn't prove her worth. She walks in it. Care enough. Discernment. That's maturity. And even when her discernment costs her company, she's okay. She knows loneliness is better than fake friendships. She'd rather be alone in truth than surrounded in deception. She doesn't fear solitude anymore. She sees it as strength. Time alone with God has refined her. Time alone has made her sharper, clearer, braver. She sees who is for her and who is with her. And those aren't always the same. She sees who celebrates her genuinely and who claps with envy. She sees who loves her soul and who loves her benefits. And when she sees it, she adjusts quietly, strategically, and sometimes permanently. This discernment didn't come easy. It came through betrayal, heartbreak, loss, and disappointment. It came through hard decisions, sleepless nights, long prayers. It came through failing forward and standing back up over and over again. But now that she has it, she won't trade it for anything, because discernment is the gift that protects her growth, preserves her peace, and aligns her with God's purpose. Maturity gave her the courage to trust it. Now she doesn't need to shout, argue, or prove. She simply knows. There comes a time in every woman's life, especially when she crosses the threshold of 40, where she realizes that peace is not just a luxury. It is a necessity. It is not a nice to have for the end of the day or a bonus that happens when everything goes well. No, peace becomes the foundation, the standard, the non-negotiable. She's not seeking it anymore. She's protecting it. She's not begging for it anymore. She's choosing it. She's not waiting for someone to give it. She's walking in it, because after everything she survived, heartbreaks, betrayals, losses, storms that almost swallowed her whole, she understands something deeply. Without peace, everything else is empty. She's done playing those games. Done pretending to be okay in environments that rob her of her breath, her balance, her sanity. Don't tolerating people, places, and patterns that bring confusion instead of clarity. This is a woman who has cried herself to sleep too many nights, carried stress in her shoulders and shame in her silence. A woman who's tried to be the glue holding everything and everyone together while she was quietly falling apart. She's over it now. And yes, it hurts. Peace doesn't always feel good at first, because sometimes peace requires loneliness, it requires space, it requires silence. It requires sitting in the uncomfortable gap between who you were and who you're becoming. There comes a season in a woman's life, especially the seasoned, self-aware, soul-mature woman over 40, when her spirit grows tired of being drained. Not tired in body, not just tired in mind, but tired in the soul. Tired of carrying people who never intended to walk. Tired of pouring into vessels that never pour back. Tired of being surrounded by takers. Those who take her energy, take her time, take her kindness, take her presence, and offered nothing but emptiness in return. She's been through enough. She's battled her own demons, survived disappointments that nearly crushed her, held herself together when everyone else walked away, and through all that, she learned how to stand. She learned how to build. She learned how to heal. And in that process, she also learned how to discern who is sent to grow her and who is sent to drain her. You see, takers don't always look dangerous. Sometimes they come wrapped in charm. They speak the language of flattery. They come with familiar faces. They often wear the disguise of friendship, family, romance, mentorship, but make no mistake, their mission is always the same: to consume. And for years, she may have tolerated it out of compassion, out of obligation, out of fear of being seen as selfish. She let people take until she was emotionally bankrupt. She was the strong one, the dependable one, the understanding one. She smiled while struggling. She gave while empty. She showed up even when nobody showed up for her. Because takers will never tell you they're taking too much. They will let you bleed out emotionally while acting entitled to your sacrifice. They will drain your time, invade your boundaries, and make you feel guilty for finally saying no. But this woman has learned your boundaries are not cruelty, they are clarity. She is no longer responsible for keeping broken people comfortable in their dysfunction. She is no longer playing counselor to people who don't want to heal. They just want to vent. She is no longer giving discounts on her time, energy, or spirit. But she sees it now. She recognizes the patterns. She doesn't confuse access with loyalty. Just because someone is close doesn't mean they are committed. Just because they keep showing up doesn't mean they have good intentions. This woman has too much purpose to be drained by people who have no direction. She has too much vision to be tied to people who don't even have values. She has too much calling on her life to be surrounded by chaos dressed in familiarity. She understands now that the wrong people in your life will delay the right things from happening. You cannot build destiny while entertaining dysfunction. You cannot carry the anointing and be tied to people who are constantly pulling you into arguments, distractions, or depression. She's not afraid to walk alone anymore. She's walked alone before, and in the quiet, she found herself again. In the solitude, she rediscovered her power. The absence of takers, she found abundance, emotional abundance, spiritual abundance, inner peace. There is a truth that only life can teach you, one that doesn't always feel good in the moment, but carries the power to transform you from the inside out. Real growth requires real separation, not the kind of separation that's petty, not the kind that's prideful, the kind that stems from bitterness or revenge. No, this is a sacred separation, one that is spiritual, one that is strategic, one that is necessary. A woman over 40 knows this truth intimately. She's lived through enough seasons to understand that not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. That doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you aware. You don't owe your future to people who are married to your past. You don't owe your destiny to those who only knew you in your brokenness but can't handle your becoming. There was a time you would have stayed, tolerated, explained, waited. You would have bent over backwards to make others comfortable with your growth. You would have shrunk your voice, delayed your dreams, dimmed your light just to avoid conflict or disapproval. But now, and it will hurt, growth doesn't always start with a leap. It starts with a tearing away, a letting go, a walking out of the familiar and into the unknown. It's uncomfortable, it's lonely, it's even terrifying, but it's necessary. You see, when a tree grows, it doesn't apologize to the soil it outgrew. It simply reaches toward the sun. When a butterfly emerges, it doesn't explain itself to the cocoon it broke out of. It simply flies. When a healed woman rises, she doesn't argue with those who only knew her wounds. She simply walks away. You can love people from a distance. You can honor memories without making them your map. You can release people without resentment. Because separation doesn't have to be messy. It can be mature. There comes a moment in every woman's life, especially the woman who has lived, lost, learned, and risen again, where she must make a divine decision. Will I live for purpose, or will I live for pleasing? Will I walk boldly in my calling, or will I keep shrinking to fit the comfort zones of other people's expectations? This is the moment where everything changes. This is the moment where people will call you different, but you're not different. You're focused. They'll say you're distant. You're not distant, you're discerning. They'll say you've changed, and you'll say, thank God I did. You stayed in rooms that dishonored you, relationships that drained you, and roles that belittled you just to keep everyone happy. Because here's the truth, pleasing people is never enough. The moment you meet one expectation, another rises. The moment you make one person happy, someone else is offended. The moment you compromise your standards to fit in, you lose sight of who you are. Pleasing people is a moving target. But purpose is anchored. Purpose doesn't shift with opinions. Purpose doesn't bow to insecurity. Purpose doesn't apologize for being different, because purpose is your divine assignment. It is the reason your breath still fills your lungs. It is the reason you survived what should have broken you. It is the reason doors closed, people left, seasons ended so you could be redirected, not rejected. It will cost you your people-pleasing habits. It will cost you your need for everyone to understand you. It will cost you the applause of people who were only clapping for your containment, not your elevation. You're no longer running yourself ragged trying to earn approval that's always conditional. You've learned that people who love the real you will never require you to shrink. People who are intimidated by your power were never assigned to your promise. You are no longer tolerating emotional manipulation disguised as loyalty. You are no longer sacrificing your joy to make others comfortable in their mediocrity. You are no longer bending your values just to avoid conflict. You've come too far to live small now. You've cried too many tears to dim your light now. You've endured too much to settle for pleasing those who can't even see your value. You will not be judged by how many people liked you, but by how faithful you were to your assignment.